Hello, this is the LEGO Creator Airshow Aces 3-in-1 set. But the three things that you're looking at right now, the two airplanes and then the tractor trailer rig, those are not the three things you build with the set. Rather, there are three different modular groups of builds that you can make with the parts from this set, one group at a time, and I'll explain exactly what I mean by modular group, starting with this smallest group of builds and parts put together. Nothing to do with an air show here. This is just a couple of cars and a starting light setup. You can see that as being a drag racing Christmas tree if you want to. This looks like a dragster here. Although probably a jet-powered one, so we'll look at that one first. I mean, there's not much to see with this thing. It is what it is. That's that. But this has either a jet engine on the back or a rocket engine. You could see this actually as being a land speed attempt vehicle if you want to, rather than a dragster. You know, obvious exhaust back there, and interestingly, you can actually change the angle of the wing on this one. But because it's so small, because it has so few pieces made in a very simple way, there's really not a whole lot to be seen with this one. I don't see how this is supposed to race against that. They're in completely different classes, and to me this doesn't even look like a drag racing car. This looks more like a modified oval racing car, like maybe even a vintage modified car, although it does appear to have on the back there a wheelie bar. So that makes some sense. It's just, you know, another small, very different vehicle. I don't know exactly what it's supposed to be. If you have any suggestions for exactly what type of vehicle you think this is, let me know in the comments, but let me show you what I meant by modular build group. So from this one car right here, you can actually take apart front, middle, and back. Separate those out into pieces, and then with this, the dragster or land speed vehicle, just the back comes off. So you end up with a pile of modules that can then be combined together in different ways. For example, I could just hook up these two, just the nose and just the tail there. You can see that as being the windscreen now, and this is a really funky looking thing. The exhaust bit back here, the glowing area, doesn't stay on there very well. It just doesn't connect very well. But yeah, you could see this as being a vehicle now, and I could have tandem cockpits on this. So some folks, you know, you could have passengers back here and then the main driver here, and they're just giving a ride, you know, be part of a speed, like a land speed record theme park ride where they actually take you out at great speed, maybe 4 people back there and 1 professional driver in the front. And it has a wheelie bar on the back now. So modular in an interesting, strange, odd way. It'll make more sense when you look at the other builds. This is a mobile crane or self-propelled crane, and as is always the case with the Creator 3-in-1 sets, you can only make one thing at a time, or in this case, one group of things at a time. So with one set, you cannot make this and the cars also. This uses some of the pieces from both of the cars, or some of the pieces from the Airshow Aces group of vehicles, and craft at the same time. This has the ability to bring the boom up, and it has kind of a lock underneath here to hold that up in the air. So you can actually grab some cargo and hold it, and they give you a piece of cargo. That's this. Imagine what this is. I could easily see this being a HVAC, you know, air conditioning type unit or generator or something that needs to be placed up on the roof of a building. And there's a clip at the end here, kind of looks like a hook, so you can actually lift that up, and this has a turntable that allows you to rotate it around. It doesn't have any outriggers that come out to give it extra stability, but has enough strength to just barely hold itself and not fall over when it's at a 90-degree angle. You see, it really wants to go, but not quite. So it just barely does the trick. And it's got the low cab section as you would normally expect, and the bar that represents what holds on to the hook when it's in transit, when it's all folded up. It's got lights on it and everything. A little bit of detail around the sides, and like I say, you can fold this all up. As a matter of fact, you can actually leave the cargo on there and just bring this kind of locking mechanism here out fold it up like this. I'm gonna just lift this up a little bit and find the spot. There it is, and you can just drive it around like this. Now, this one also has a modular build just like those cars did. That's not what's supposed to come apart. I got a little bit anxious with it there. But the forward section of this, actually the middle area, this can come off. So this now actually can be used as a vehicle just by itself, but also you can just take all this out entirely. So this is another module. Put that on there. That's weird, but that's how they designed it. So if you have multiple of this same set, you can start to bring different things together. You can use this front on the back of the drag racing or land speed vehicle. This is the main build, or the main group of builds. So you can put all this together at one time with one single set. You see some of the pieces that were used on the crane and the dragster there, some of the wheels that were used on the different vehicles, you know, kind of mixed together. And this uses more parts than either of the ones that you've seen up to this point. So a tractor trailer rig with trailer, and it can hold on to either this jet or this prop plane here. And let me actually show you the prop plane first, and then we'll move on from there, because there's actually something interesting about this. It actually fits on better facing towards the rear like that. Though the size of this is very small, I think the proportions of it are actually pretty good, and it's relatively believable. It has the ability to spin up the prop, of course. Nice height on the cockpit bubble section there. Didn't keep it too flat. And this has the ability to fold up the wings. So when you're transporting it, when you put this onto the trailer, you can fold up the wings like this, and then it makes a lot more sense when you have it on the trailer like that. Just goes onto the couple of pieces with a couple of studs, the 1x4s with 2 studs in total, and now it doesn't extend beyond the edges of the thing. The reason I had to turn it around is that it has this piece right here, the inverted round tile. It just makes it kind of lean back a little bit when it's on the ground, because it doesn't have any landing gear on it, so I think that just helps a little bit. Plus it's probably one piece that they needed for some of the other builds. This trailer works perfectly fine for what it is and for what it needs to do to transport the planes around. And then the tractor section of it, the truck section of it, you know, has a pretty respectable build, pretty respectable looking thing. It's able to actually pivot at the 5th wheel, and there is your hint of the modular design. So there's nothing modular about this trailer section here. There's nothing that pulls off of it easily, and though you're looking at some hinge type assemblies here on the sides, this does not hinge out. Nothing changed. That's just part of how it's built, using some of the pieces that were already, you know, or that were kind of reserved for some of the other builds. But this stuff can be taken apart. And then on this can be taken apart. This can be taken apart. So you start to be able to do some funky things again. What do I even want to do with this? I could just remove these wings entirely, but I could do something like this. Well, that's weird. That's really weird. Really, really, really weird. But I do have a tail back here. Could do that if I want and have a flying truck, kind of. If only it had the ability to take a module off the front, just take the grill off so I could paste this on as well. You could have all those things combined together. And don't forget about the jet. We also have the jet. Now, it's not bad to look at. It's pretty easy on eyes. Nice colors, nice little stripe going through the center of it. And again, respectably, you know, reasonable proportions on this. Good use of the engine outlet at the back. And once again, modular build. You take that off, and this one separates back here. So that is stuff that you can do things with if you want. Let's see if I can make a plane that has 2 sets of wings on it. X style wing. I'm gonna put that on the front of it, and where's my tail from this? go. So I can do something like that, actually angle these up to make a real experimental looking thing, or just use the jet tail at the back of this, just like so, just to add on some wings. Or I could also put these prop plane wings at the back. Works, yeah, I could actually do that. See, they kind of overlap that way. And I want this to be able to be driven around on the road. So I'm going to include some wheels at the front, and I'm going to include some wheels at the back. This is going to be my favorite build yet. Yes, so it's like a long engine compartment with a couple pairs of wings, and now it can fly. And then just one last thing, I'll just swap this around to maybe make it make a little bit more sense, or not. Nah, definitely not. What is that? I don't know, but it's something that you can do with this set. The main build also lets you put together a couple of flag stands and a wind sock here, which again look pretty respectable in terms of their proportions, and they go well with the theme. This to me just looks great as is, just by itself, as a standalone build. I think they could have sold this just by itself. You know, it doesn't have as many pieces as the full Airshow Aces set, so it would have been at a reduced cost, but I think this could have been the basis of an entire set. It works really well, has good play value, and looks really good, especially when you consider that it's built with the most basic of building techniques. I also like the general idea of this modular system, and I just realized that I forgot to show you this possibility of bringing the cargo into the center of this thing. That actually works pretty well, looks pretty good. However, when it comes to that modular system, if you just have one of these sets, the stuff you can actually make by mixing the modules together is really limited, especially because not all of the pieces can be connected to at the front and the back. You know, you're going to end up with some extras with a lot of the different possibilities of builds. Now, they will be adding to this system with at least a couple more sets in the future, but if you just get one of these sets, even though it is a 3-in-1 set, and you do get a bunch of modules with the main build that uses all of the parts, and then you also get this trailer, which you can't do much with when you start switching things around. There's still a real limitation to what you can do there. So I feel like the system just doesn't work all that well in reality unless you start buying up multiple different sets together. So an interesting concept, and definitely not the best execution in my view. I think it would have worked out a lot better if they ensured that every single termination piece, every end piece, every front and back piece could at least have something taken off of it to turn it into a middle piece, so that you could have more options within just one single set. I also personally don't like the look of the car builds at all, though the mobile crane is very good, and the Airshow set, just in its default form, looks good also. So a bit of a mixed bag for me, maybe a little bit more on the negative side than the positive, but I'm looking forward to hearing what you think about it. Let me know what you think of the modular system so far, and if you have a favorite build of the things that you've seen here in this video. Thanks so much for watching, and thanks for your feedback. I'll talk to you again soon.